Hey guys, this will be a short video on how to measure out the measuring tape on the roof of your truck if you bought Cab Over America lights. So this tape came with a Cab Over America light set that is a wireless set of cab marker lights, and this is a zero center tape, which if you go from the right, it'll go 36 to 0, in my case from 36 to 0, and then on the left side will be 0 to 36 as well. So what I did on my truck's behalf, in my case, my truck is 28.5 inches. If I did it correctly, it's 28.5 inches from the center to the very end of this seal on the windshield. And so what I did, there's like a crease between where it starts going down, a 90-degree point. I got the bottom part of this tape to match up with this, and the top part to touch the outer part of the door, which I don't know, I'm gonna have to double check it, but I think I may have got it right. I did the same thing with the other side. Did the same thing as the other side. Make sure that this will work. 20.5. Had the line up here and then the line down here towards the crease. Again, don't quote me on this. I'm new to this. I've never done this before, but I've watched other videos, and I may have to double check whether it's to the door or to the very end. But either way, that's how you use the tape for a Dodge Ram, a 98 to 02 Dodge Ram. Okay, take care. So about an hour later, I finally mapped it out. I already did the other side, and what I'm planning on doing is that I have 2 outer ones and then 3 on the inner side. So what I did, and I think for Cab Over America, it's universal. What I did, I plotted it at 22 for the studs to line up at 23. I grabbed my tape measure to confirm that it was lined up with 23, and I made sure that the front stud was 4.5 inches from the top of the windshield, And I did the same thing for the other side, and I did a very good job at it. So far, I have not screwed this up. Another thing I did, before I actually pulled the adhesive cover off, I get a dry erase marker, and I just trace where the marker goes. This one was phenomenal. It worked out perfectly. Same with the other side. And you could see that you got one on there and one on the other. They look about the same. They are going to look like they're facing out a little bit, and they may do, because it's tricky to do a curved surface. But so far I'm very happy with the project, so I'll let you know when it's done. Oh wait, before that, so these lights come in 3 different pieces. It's not like a whole assembly. So you have the base plate, this black plate, this solar black for your light, and then you got the top. So, and I picked silver because it matches the lenses on the tow mirrors. No doubt about it, it's going to look great. And in the instructions, it says for these to sit for 24 hours. Let these sit for 24 hours without anything on them. I was stupid and tried to put it on, and it didn't go very well, so I'm just going to leave LB. The plate didn't come off. The lens would not lock into place properly. I did get it in the studs, it's just not a very easy snap on. And very important, before you put them on the roof, make sure you always add rubbing alcohol on the surface before you mount the adhesive. If you don't, as time goes on, the sticking will diminish. and you don't want that. And you don't want to lose these lights because these were $400 $400 for the set. Alright, I'll let you know when it's done. For this project, in my case, I'm still certain that it's universal. I'm choosing to do 23, 8, 0, 8, and then 23 on my truck. I'm not really the best person at this, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to have 2 on the outer and 3 closer to each other in the center. So I chose to do 23, 0, and 8. If I change my mind, I'll let you know. But as of now, that's what I'm wanting to do. And whether I change the 8 or not, the 0, I'm still going to have to adjust the tape because the stud, since I'm doing 4.5 on each stud, it goes over the tape. So I'm going to have to modify that. So I'll let you know my next move. Here's the finished product. It took me a little bit of time to get the center ones in. They're harder to get to. But I did continue to go with the 8, the 23, the 8, the 0, the 8, and the 23 as well. The center one was a pain in the butt, but I think pretty much overall I did a very good job installing these, putting the stickers on, this adhesive. I just need to tap it down a little bit. Maybe not. Okay. So I'm going to let these sit for 24 hours and come back to it a day later. Alright. The install is not that hard, but it does take a lot of time to make sure you measure a lot. The saying is measure twice, cut once. In this case, measure 50,000 times, adhesive it once. That should be modified. But seriously, I measured a lot of times before I added the adhesive, and I think I'm very happy with the result. So next day I'll try to add the components back together, but I am very happy with how these were taped on. Alright, take care. Here I am a day later. After putting the adhesive on 24 hours, I added the adhesive over the amber adhesive over the light, over the light, solar light, and I slept the boot on. I put the light on top of the battery in the square slot, and I put the lens on here. I had to do a little bit of hammering, which I don't think that's what they wanted you to do, but because the light is a little bit hard to get in between the studs since it's slightly bent, the base plate. But so far I'm very happy with it. The only concern I have is I'm hoping that water doesn't seep in here. Worst case scenario, it just will get to the battery, but I don't want to have to replace the batteries either. But here's my finished product. I'm very happy with how these turned out. No? Oh. Sorry I got interrupted there. One of my parents came out. And yes, it is starting to rain. But here's the remote. Oh yeah. That strobe. That is high output. And this is low output. I'm very happy with how these turned out. So overall, this project was fairly easy. It just takes time, patience, and whatnot, but I'm very happy with how these look, especially with the amber stickers. When I change the wiring for my tow mirrors to activate with the running lights, this will definitely complement this. Just as a side note, they're wired for my turn signal right now. But that's how you do it. I did not film the process of putting the boot on, the light on, and then the lens on, but I may have to add some silicone just to be on the safe side, but I'm very happy with this again. And catch you later. Just as a side note, if for some reason the lights become unsynced like mine did, there are instructions in the manual and the instructions that they gave you. At first it was very confusing the way they worded it, but basically what you do, in my case I had 3 lights that were in the same mode. 3 lights would be in the low mode, while 1 was in strobe and 1 was in high output. So basically what they want you to do, they want you to take the unit off. They want you to take the unit off and go at least 500 feet from the truck. I just got in the car and just drove off so that way I wouldn't get rained on. And one at a time I drove them like 500 feet from the car, and then just synchronize it, like go through the modes and match up with the ones that they were on. Like say the lights, I turned them on when the 3 lights were at low output, and the number 2 light, the one that's the second closest to my head if I were driving, was on strobe, so I would turn it back on. I would turn it off and take it out of the assembly, get in the car, drive it 500 feet away from the car, and press it on, go to high output, turn it off, and then turn it back on, low output, and then turn it off again, return it and put it back in there. This one was on high output, so I had to take that one out, do the same thing, turn it back on. It was on low output, and then just shut it off, and then put it back in, and it's synchronized again. In my case, 2 of them were out of sync. So maybe that's the way they want you to do it, but that's how I did it, and it worked for me. So that's just a side note. And again, I'm still very happy with how these lights turned out. I don't have the remote with me right now to do it, but we'll take care.